Countless films have achieved a lot without dialogue by placing faith on the core elements of the visual medium, thoroughly flexing how powerful it can be, but none more so in my opinion than Koyaanisqatsi, an avant-garde classic that expresses so much just by using the basic tools of filmmaking, without having a single character, dialogue or even narration. While it lacks a typical cohesive structure of a film, there are a clear set of sequences that give it a strong through line. The way the camera sits, flies and meditates on things, it brings into question how we shape society, and how the lives of the human race can be brought to the surface for critical reflection. We can trace his style back to the pioneers of filmmaking. The Kuleshov effect, coined by Lev Kuleshov, is a phenomenon where the viewers can deduce some sort of meaning from two shots in a sequence rather than a single one. Here's Alfred Hitchcock giving an example.
Let me show what he sees. Let's assume he saw a woman holding a baby in her arms. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he sees, and he smiles. Now what is he as a character? He's a kindly man. Now we'll put in a piece of film of a girl in a bikini. He looks, he smiles. What is he now? The dirty old man. He's no longer the benign gentleman.
Kuleshov's effect defined film and film editing, and is something fellow filmmaker Sergei Eisenstein expanded upon to what we now call a montage. He felt that the collision of shots can be used to bring out emotions, meanings and metaphors. Documentary filmmaker Dziga Vertov took this idea and made Man with a Movie Camera, pushing non-narrative filmmaking even further. Vertov thought that the camera can picture things more perfectly than the human eye, so he documented cities to show the people the truth in understanding society. Fast forward 53 years to Koyaanisqatsi, where all these fundamentals of filmmaking are refined in such a way that's used to control the audience's thoughts and ideas. This would be a good time to talk about the director Godfrey Reggio, and where his intent is. He's interested in impacts of consumerism and societal dysfunction, and this first section is a perfect setup to the theme he's trying to examine, the collision of the urban life and the environment. It's a grand setup too, starting off with a slow motion rocket launch, a destructive, fiery, inhuman image, and then moves to aerial shots of the natural world. Rock formations, the clouds, the ocean, rainforests. They're pristine, untouched and organic, with the camera sweeping across the plains, showing the beauty of the elements. They're barren yet recognizable, something we look in wonderment, and then we see demolition, smoke, tire tracks, all punctuated in a change of music. The visuals have half the power, the other half can be attributed to the score, created by the legendary American composer Philip Glass. He accentuates the moods and never overbears, to create richer emotional expressions. The constantly changing time signatures and an assortment of unique sounds creates an atmosphere that feels otherworldly, and something that perfectly fits the brazen nature of these images. The film was cut to the music and not vice versa, which gives it that consistent rhythm. Earth is experiencing radical changes. Industry and machinery come in the form of discovery. Humans shaking up the natural world for their own gains. How we prefer function over form. But is the destruction always worth it? We set our eyes on a hazy aeroplane. It slowly starts to fill up the screen. We know it's coming closer and more in focus, but the camera doesn't move at all. It feels as if the background and foreground have meshed together, as if we started to confuse a natural with a mechanical. That's Reggio using a telephoto lens, which compresses everything in the frame to give it a larger than life effect. Humans created something this staggering and almost monstrous, but look at how it's changed the way people travel. Automobiles, jets and ships continue to pave the way forward for us. Our talent in shaping buildings brings us closer to efficiency, but where does the effectiveness end? Reggio cuts to rundown areas, abandonment, the wasted potential of what we built, now all doomed to be lost to time. We think we're efficient with our resources, but our needs say otherwise. Now we look at humans, but from many different perspectives. Reggio views us as cogs in a machine. There's a lot to unpack in this section, and the images here are arguably the most iconic. The accelerated footage allows us to see society on a macroscopic level. The highways that move as streaks of light, people gushing in and out of places, machines working tirelessly. From this perspective, the audience cannot comprehend them as individuals, but as part of a whole, missing out all the tiny details that make us human. The way the footage of hot dogs moving through a conveyor belt then cuts to humans moving the same way on escalators, it gives us the idea that our lives are like a factory line, devoid of any quality, repetitive, and constantly in motion. Take the images of a city map, which cuts straight to a close-up of computer chips. We are just a tiny element in a vast network. We went from the natural world to the influence of technology. The grids, the speeds, the work we put in to make lives easier for us, it feels effortless and frictionless. But with how we view the world, we're not sausages, we're not pixels, we're still human. Things slow down dramatically, including the music. The hustle and bustle of the new world is set aside in order to look at ourselves. This man here, smoking in his work clothes, holds his head for some reason. We don't know his backstory or what's going on with his life, but we empathize with him, something we couldn't do from a distant perspective. Take this scene. The man misses the elevator, then smacks it off. These little stories get lost in the frenzy. This is what makes us as a species so interesting. The happiness and the somberness. Has civilization done its work? Philip Glass raises so many complex emotions just from his compositions, and the time cuts are just as effective. I think the final scene perfectly summates the idea behind all these images. Humans try so hard to go further, longing to increase knowledge and be all-knowing, but we still aren't there yet. We aren't perfect, there's still progress to be made, and just like the rocket, we sometimes do come crashing down to Earth. The music rests, and we finally get the definition of the title. Life out of balance, a phrase that accurately describes the present. Koyaanisqatsi is not just a tone piece, but a documentation on how humans shaped Earth. It's a meditation on the human story, one where we break ground and also fall flat on our faces. It takes time to tune into the rhythm, but once you understand it, it sucks you right in, through the synergy of audio and visuals. That's part of the reason why many shows, films, soundtracks and trailers pay homage. Snyder uses Glass's music to underline the power of Dr. Manhattan.
If I'm to have a symbol.
Rockstar Games uses the score and similar editing style to showcase, at the time, the next-gen graphics of GTA 4. And of course, The Simpsons had their take on it. With the film so carefully assembled, I wonder how a version would look in the current state of the world. One thing's for sure, these images are relevant now more than ever.